Let's face it, running your own interior design business can feel overwhelming. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone. I am so excited to introduce a brand new way to get the support you need. One-on-one mentorship with me, Laura Thornton, your interior design bestie. In just one focused hour, we'll dive into whatever you need most, whether that's pricing strategies, client management, presentations, attracting clients, building up a repeat business, or just getting out of the hamster wheel. You'll get clarity, strategy, and expert advice based on my 28 years of running a thriving business and over the last decade, a seven-figure design firm. This is your chance to get real answers to the questions you've been dying to ask from someone who's actually been there and is currently still walking the walk. Book your session as you need it. There are no strings attached. You'll walk away with personalized, actionable advice that you can implement right away. One-on-one, 1-hour sessions as you need it. Head to the website or click the link in the show notes to book your mentorship session, and let's build a beautiful, profitable business that you've been dreaming of together. Hi there, interior design lovers. Welcome back to the Business of Beautiful Spaces, the podcast where we blend design inspiration with all behind-the-scenes tips and tricks you need to thrive in your business. I'm your host, Laura Thornton, and with over 27 years in this interior design game and running a seven-figure design company, trust me, I've seen it all. I want to be your interior design bestie. I want to help you build the business of your dreams, make more money, and yes, ditch the stress along the way. I've been doing this for a long time, and now I'm sharing my knowledge with all of you, my fellow designers and decorators. All I ask in return is that you like, review, and follow this podcast wherever you listen, so other designers can find us and learn more too. So grab a coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into making 2025 your best business year yet. Welcome back to another episode of the Business of Beautiful Spaces, the interior design podcast. I am your host, Laura Thornton, and today we're going to talk about something that has been in my heart for years. Why we as interior designers need to stop undervaluing our industry and start changing the standards, not just for ourselves, but for the generations of designers who are going to come after us. It isn't about fear or scarcity, it's about possibility, and we should be wanting to empower and have a fabulous legacy. And it's about realizing that we are not just here to create beautiful spaces, but we're here to build profitable businesses that create wealth, security, and longevity. So, personal story. I'm going to take you back for a bit. Years ago, I made the decision to drop out of law school to become an interior designer. And let me tell you, my father, who was a high-end custom home builder here in Toronto, definitely could not believe what I was doing. In his mind, designers couldn't make any money. He legitimately said that to me. You'll never make any money. And in many ways, at the time, he wasn't wrong. I was just young and naive and thankfully brave to make this big step. And unless you were absolutely top of your game, it really wasn't a lucrative career path. And he had worked with designers every single day. So it wasn't like he didn't know what he was talking about, but it was also me being young, and this was something that was creative, and I knew I liked it. And to be honest, I'm sure he didn't even realize that he is part of the impact in how I got here, because my father was a high-end builder, and every year we pretty much would move houses because he would buy houses, fix them up, and sell them before flipping was even a thing. This was something I've grown up with my whole life. Still love the smell of sawdust and paint to this day. And I'm sure that I completely annoyed him with this decision, because I'm, well, maybe quite sure he probably had bragged all his friends that he was going to have a lawyer as a daughter, but that backfired. So he also knew that design wasn't really respected in the way that architecture or construction was. Now, fast forward to today. My father clearly has changed his tune. He even apologized for doubting the profession. And in fact, it was him who taught me my work ethic and instilled in me the foundation that led, beknownst to him, straight into the construction and design industry. But here's the real shift. The world has changed, and design is no longer a side note. TV has helped brought our profession to the forefront in the 90s with terrible shows with zero budgets that were not even remotely realistic. However, it made our jobs more known. There's fabulous magazines and books, and now we have social media, and they've all shone a spotlight on what we do and the importance of what we do. And I can see that that has changed even for me and in my own family in almost 3 decades of doing this. My niece and I have 2 cousins, young cousins, they're all under 30, who have now chosen careers in interior design because they can see the potential. They can see the visibility, the credibility, and yes, profitability. And that just simply wasn't there before. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back, because they can see that this has led us to a very nice life and I can afford nice things, but it has. I didn't do that lightly or simply or easily, but it has. And this is why our conversation today matters so much, because if we don't set standards and if we don't stop undervaluing our expertise, then the next generation will inherit all these same challenges that we are struggling with. Like, I know what I've gone through in the last 30 years with starting in design, and I would show up on job sites and I was literally asked if I was the secretary or if I was taking notes. I remember showing up with a laptop when laptops were 2 inches thick, and literally we were in Grenada building a commercial job, and they could not believe that I was going to walk away and basically everything we had measured that day, I was going to draw that night and come back with floor plans. Like, they thought I was just there to keep notes, and and thank God times have changed. But I've seen a lot. I've had a lot. I've had my tires slashed. I've had a lot of things happen in 30 years, which is crazy now to even say. But I'm very grateful that this has changed. And I'm grateful that it's much more commonplace to have a female on a job site or having trade meetings. So I don't want the next generation to ever have that feeling like they don't belong. And I don't want them to feel pressure to lower their fees. And I don't want them to be seen as decorators instead of designers. Now, I don't mean that as a bad term to anyone who is a decorator, but in Canada, it is a very different thing. You go to way more school to become an interior designer than you do for a decorator, and anyone can call themselves a decorator in Canada, but you cannot call yourself an interior designer unless you have a set of standards that you adhere to. So here in Canada, it's a very big difference, and you wouldn't want someone to assume that you are something that you are not. You are trained to do construction and drawings and HVAC and stamping, and anyway, that's a whole other podcast. But you'd want to make sure that you're feeling very valued in the role that you are playing. So this is not legacy that I would want to leave behind, which is why I've chosen to do the podcast and try and help other designers. And I know that it's not what you want either. So we need to start changing our narrative, and we need to do it now. We need to do it with ourselves, and we need to do it with our clients. And we need to create minimum standards for pricing and profitability, not to box people in, but to protect the profession. So just like lawyers and architects and accountants, our work is at measurable value. And when we collectively hold ourselves to a higher standard, we are raising the bar for the entire industry. So I just want to urge everyone to stop. Absolutely. You're never going to shave another hour off your off your invoicing ever again. I want you to make sure that you stand firm in what you said your value was. And just to get the job, you're not going to shave off a few more hours. Like, I know we all do things to be able to stay in business, and that is a completely different conversation. However, we have to stop undermining ourselves. because we're not just hurting us, we're hurting our future selves who are going to one day wonder why we all didn't do more. So here's the truth. You are not just in business to pay yourself a salary. You're in business to make a profit and to build wealth and create opportunities and to secure your future. And I know that sometimes it feels uncomfortable to say all that aloud, especially in our industry where it's creative and we love what we do and the details matter. But embracing profitability is not selfish. It's smart. It's necessary. And because you have a profitable business, you have the freedom to choose better projects, to hire support, and to mentor others, and you can give back. So think about it this way. By charging your worth, you're not only changing your life, you're help paving the way for the next generation of designers who are going to step into this industry with confidence, never questioning whether or not they deserve to be paid, never ever being asked to hand over a trade discount, never feeling like design is just a hobby instead of a respected career. Do you know 2 weeks ago I got asked if I share my discounts? I have not been asked that question in probably a decade. And very quickly my answer was no. That was it. No. And I was shocked. And I said, no, I don't. First of all, it wouldn't be a profitable business model. But secondly, I don't buy at retail. So I don't have any discounts to pass on to you because all of my work is custom. So that doesn't really exist in my world. There's nothing really to comp shop me with. And so I was very straightforward. Clearly, I was a bit taken back when they asked, but they've worked with the designers before. And they are probably 10 years younger than I am, which means to tell me that somebody they worked with in the last 5 years has said to them as a sales tool that they are going to pass on their discounts to them. That should never be said, in my opinion. Those discounts are for you. Your vendors have set them up for you to be able to be profitable, for you to come back, to keep your lights on in your studio, to pay the gas that it took you to get there, to pay for the lawyers that create your contracts, to have your cell phone paid for, to have your liability insurance paid for. I could go on and on. These were things that were never meant to be passed on to your clients, or they would just be called customer discounts, not a designer discount. So I could get on my soapbox forever on this topic, but I really want you to stop sharing your discounts. It is not a profitable business model to split those. They were meant for you. So if you are shopping at a retail level and you are sharing your discounts, I would love for you to go back and add up for the last year what you've been giving away to your clients. So how do we move forward together and where do we go from here? We embrace the truth that we are running a business, not just practicing our craft and our hobby. We educate ourselves and others about our pricing, profitability, and our systems. We mentor, we share resources, we hold each other accountable, and most importantly, we stop apologizing for our value. Because when we do that, we're not just changing our own businesses, we're changing the standard for the entire profession. So, my challenge to you this week is simple. Take one action that reflects the future that you want to see in our industry. Maybe that's raising your rates. Maybe that's mentoring a younger designer. Maybe that's simply reminding yourself that you're not just an interior designer or not just a decorator. You are a business owner and you deserve to be paid like one. So, if this resonates with you, I would love for you to share with me what you liked, what you didn't like, what your thoughts are. I'm really trying to get a handle moving into 2026 for the next year of podcasting. We're trying to forecast and see what you want to hear and what you want to learn more about or where you find value, because I really want this to be about the listener, because I get passionate about all of it. I enjoy all of it, but I want to know what you want to hear and what you are craving to learn more about in 2026. And I will happily do the research to get that to you. So please, if this episode inspired you, I would love for you to share it with another designer who needs to hear this message. And if you haven't already, a free way to support the show is by leaving a 5-star rating or whatever value you think this podcast deserves, because I would super duper appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a great week, and I can't wait to see you back here next week.